My 29M ex-girlfriend, 30F, tricked me into raising another child for the past 13 years. I've been going back and forth on writing this for a couple days, but seeing as my situation has only gotten worse, what further harm could be done to me? As you can tell from the ages, I was 16 and she was when our son was born. We tried to stay together for him, but when he was 2 years old, my girlfriend decided that this wasn't gonna work. We split and she decided to keep the courts out of it and just pay child support. However, it wasn't court-mandated, so she missed payments and they weren't enough to single-handedly support our son, so I got a job. I worked in electrical construction and took care of my son for the past 11 years. Well, I had growing suspicions that my son wasn't my kid, but I buried them. His mother is white and I'm black, but he looks Hispanic and has straight hair. My son also has no similar features to me. Last week, I took my son to the doctors and he got his blood drawn, but he was scared, so I did it first to show him that he'd be fine. He got his blood drawn and the results came in 2 days later. He had an AB positive blood type and he was healthy. My blood type is a negative, and I called his mother because I figured I could get my question answered here without anyone knowing. She also is a positive, meaning it's impossible for him to be my son, but to make sure I got a DNA paternity test. Those results came in 4 days ago and he's not my son. There is a 1% chance that I'm his dad. So I got bamboozled completely. I was tricked into raising and bonding with this boy while both his bio dad and mom got to live out their dreams. I didn't suspect her of cheating at the time, so this really out of left field. I'll tell him when he gets older and truly understands the gravity of the situation. This is my son no matter what, but I feel completely emasculated. I raised another child and didn't even find out till he 13. Me and ex have always been cordial, but I really loathe her right now. She was a lying, conniving woman who cheated and dumped her mistake on me and then had the audacity to tease him by popping in and out of his life. Anyway, how and when should I break the news to my son? I thought maybe when he's older, but what do you guys think? You shouldn't feel emasculated. She manipulated you and lied to you. Despite finding out the truth, you are maintaining your place in his life as his father. Blood doesn't mean shit in terms of family, and doing what you have to do for your son. Blood or not, he is your son. Telling him is important, but make sure you remind him that even though he isn't biologically yours, that he is yours in all of the ways that count. You were there for his birth and every year since. Buddy, you feel emasculated? You're a fucking king, my friend. Your useless ex and her useless fuckboy should feel completely emasculated by having a man such as yourself pick up the burden they were too weak to carry. And the son you earned through your selflessness will be your son forever. That's a testament to your strength and the kind of reward that will resonate throughout your entire life. Tell him when he's an adult. Like deep into adulthood. Hopefully he'll compare how useless and cowardly his sperm donor was, compared to his father. I'm not one of those guys that calls everything with a penis a king. If you've been paying child support, I think you can take her to court and get your money back. But I agree that he's still your son cause he sees you as dad and you've been the father raising him. Hope things work out for you and your son. Look for a lawyer to guide you if you think there is a possibility, however small, that she will one day want your child's custody. It's good to always be careful with these things. My brother got tricked into it for 21 years. They got pregnant when they were both 17 and he didn't know any better and signed the birth certificate child support order. As soon as his son turned 21 and the order was up, the baby mama suddenly remembered that she had sex with someone else before him and it wasn't his kid, followed by a DNA test that proved it. We had all kind of suspected it, but by that time he was fam and no one wanted to bring it up. After my brother gave up half his salary for 21 years for a kid that wasn't his and that constantly had to hear his mother belittle him for not doing more. Count yourself lucky. Emasculated? You stepped up and raised him all on your own, and you still love him despite him not sharing your DNA. You are the definition of a man. This story doesn't really add up for me. Why would they test your blood when you weren't the patient and it was just an example for your kid? I feel like the MRA crowd is overwhelming this thread with these fake stories to prove some weird point. I feel like he is at an age where he would understand. 13-year-olds are capable of understanding that, in my opinion. You could tell him you just found out, but he is still your son and you love him all the same. Oh nice, another, I raised another man's child, story, that's the 5th this week. At least you've moved on from the creepy, my boyfriend impregnated me while I was asleep, phase. Dude, as a kid raised by a man who was not my bio dad, do not feel emasculated. Just the opposite, you stepped up and raised a kid, and it sounds like largely on your own. You are the very picture of a mature adult who handles responsibility. Ain't nothing emasculating about that. As for when to tell him, it's really going to depend on his own growth. It might be better to wait until he's 18 so your custody can't get screwed up, but if he finds out sooner from another source, that could blow up in your face. You might consider taking to a lawyer. Hell, probably even a therapist. You need to work through this too, and they can probably advise you on when and how to tell your kid. You did not raise another man's son. You're the only man that little person will ever call father. Accidentally producing a person has nothing to do with being a father or a mother, as you should well know. You are a hero to your son and have given him the ultimate gift of love, protection and guidance where nature gave him none. You're a good person and a great man. Do not allow that to make you feel weak when that is what makes you the strongest. I suggest you hit up some therapy and discuss how you think you should handle telling your son. But I don't think it's something you should try to keep from him for any extended period of time either. I'm sorry this happened to you, but I disagree that you were emasculated. You are standing by your son like a great dad, and that's the true sign of a man. Blood is less meaningful than folks think. Millions of great adoptive dads agree. Best of luck to you. I commend you for stepping up and being there for your son, despite the fact that you just learned he is not biologically yours. And that's the most important part of this dilemma. I wish I could offer you advice on how to deal with this information moving forward, but I'm confident you'll figure it out as time goes on. This is probably super unhelpful, but you seem like a good person and I just wanted to tell you that as you deal with things. Damn, you're light years away from emasculation. If this is true, you are a real man and this bitch really threw a Lotto-winning ticket away when she dumped you. At 13 he's old enough to understand, but I don't know about handling it. I would see about talking to a counselor to help you figure out your own feelings. I'd stress the importance, once you tell him, that blood does not make a family. It is who you choose just as much and he will always be your son. Didn't I read this last week? Since the child support is not court mandated and she's missed payments, is it possible to bring her into court for a nice payday? Keep your son, as he doesn't deserve to be hurt by circumstances he has no control over. Women should be thrown into prison for this. This is robbery of time and money. I suggest you get a therapist and sort your feelings out. Because there is a lot going on for you right now. While her betrayal towards you, your son, herself and the biological father is a sad affair, I would love him even harder for being abandoned by both his biological parents. He'll likely figure it out eventually, and by that day you should have processed it enough to fully focus on supporting him. The biological parents seems like proper deadbeats and you got to grow up to a responsible and compassionate person. A proper man. She probably lives with a lot of internalized shame. You really came out on top on this and got a beautiful son out of it. It's obvious you love him, and knowing what you now do, I think you can take extra pride in him. My friend, you will only be emasculated if you let this in any way, shape or form change your relationship with your son. You are a bigger man than any of them. She was a conniving bitch, but even the greatest men of all time have moments they were taken advantage of or tricked. How could you possibly have no? Chalk it up to a life lesson or bad luck. Be a good father, and by doing so, by having a good son, you will have won, and a son who you are close with would be a gift. You shouldn't feel emasculated. You a hero, not only raising your son single-handedly, but also for still wanting to keep on being his father even though he isn't your biological child. You have my admiration that as a man you are taking the hard news and still being dad. Well done, sir. I salute you. As a father, I feel like you should feel like a fucking hero, not emasculated. Feel scammed? Sure. Wronged? Abso-fucking-lutely. But you raised this boy when nobody else would. Do you love him? Have you raised him to be a good person? Then hold your head high and know that you did the right thing. There's way too many actual fucking DNA parents that won't even raise their kids, not to mention one that wasn't really theirs. Your ex is proof. Takes a real man to be a good dad. You shouldn't feel emasculated, but you can't be faulted for any feelings of betrayal and regret for the life you could have had. You should consult a lawyer though. I have no advice, but you're truly an excellent human for sticking by your son throughout everything, and as tough as it is, I hope everything works out in the best way possible for you both. You should try and sue both parents for child support. I doubt you want to get rid of him because of how you've bonded. It would hurt you both, but they should not go unpunished. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. But you know from all the sleepless nights, the scraped knees, the handmade Father's Day cards and sticky kisses that DNA is actually a very small part of parenthood. It only takes a moment to father a child, but it takes a lifetime to become a dad. And this is why paternity testing should be a normal part of every birth. This shit happens way too often. Dude, you need to bring her to court ASAP. Lawyer up, get some legalized support from his real parents. If you want to continue raising him, go for it. Sounds like you did this kid right. You're an awesome human. I'd ditch the fucking kid with his mom and bio father. Live free and careless. There's really no legitimate upside I can think of to having kids. mandatorybpaternitytesting. Why isn't this a thing yet? How many times are we going to defend these disgusting banshees and throw innocent dudes under the bus? Op had to be a father at the age of 16 via paternity fraud. Unbelievable. Anyway, how and when should I break the news to my son? I thought maybe when he's older, but what do you guys think? After college. But more importantly, you need to cut down on how often this trashy pig is allowed around your son. I was 13 when my dad told me that he wasn't my bio parent. It literally changed nothing in my brain as his son. I was like, damn, my mom's pretty sleazy, but my dad raised me and did all the dad stuff. No one can replace him. He knew basically from the beginning, but stayed for me and my sister and was an excellent dad the whole time. He's gone now, but I have nothing but the utmost respect for that man and talk to people about him every chance I get. Not sure where I'm going with this, but I can almost guarantee the love your son has for you isn't going to change. You're his dad. No piece of paper can change that in his heart. Sorry, dude. Look at it another way. You got 13 years together with an awesome son from a sperm donor. You've earned the title of father. He's earned the title of son. The sperm donor missed out. You may want to speak to a lawyer because I think you can sue for that. But I think you should tell your son ASAP. If he was adopted, for example, that should never be kept secret, so I think you should tell him this now. You are not only a man. You are the man. Who knows what kind of creep the bio dad could have been, B? Yes, you were tricked, but would really you change anything? You have a son who you love. Whether or not he is blood doesn't really matter. Focus on the man you are raising now, because from where I am sitting, he won the fricking lottery of dads. The one who lost out are your ex and the guy she cheated with. Your boy is 13 now, in 5 years he'll be 18. You managed to raise the boy by yourself and he'll always be your boy. No one can take him from you anymore. You should be damn proud of yourself. Don't let these feelings of emasculation fester. As for his mother, I'd honestly consider court-mandated child support at this point. You already showed goodwill by raising him alone and putting your own life on the back burner. She, on the other hand, showed what a despicable person she is, so I see no reason to abide by your previous agreement. Emasculated? You're the manliest man in the world right now. It's so fucked up what she did, but look at the life you gave this boy. Imagine if either of his biological parents raised him. He's your son and he is lucky to have you. I'm unsure what to think about telling him. 13 is a rough age to begin with. Kids can be awful and his world is still small. Small things are big things and big things are life-changing. Unless there's a reason to tell him, like he's wondering, or your satanic ex will tell him, I think I would wait. I hope you cut your ex out of both your lives, and I hope this doesn't creep at the back of your mind. The wound is fresh, but the worst of it is over now. Counseling could help. This is my son no matter what, but I feel completely emasculated. And then you say this. This is my son no matter what. You are more of a man than I am. Feeling like less of a man isn't the truth but a lie you've made up in your head. I completely understand why you feel emasculated, but from what I can tell you are more of a real man than a lot of men out there. He may have been your father, boy, but he wasn't your daddy. I just want to say you're a really good man. Don't tell the kiddo until he's well into adulthood. Teens do not have the resources to process these things. He might figure out before then by looking in the mirror. If he does, I recommend coming clean in the gentlest way possible. I'd say if in your heart you feel like his dad, then that's all that matters. You sound like a good man with a good heart. Your son is lucky to have you. I think in time you'll know when it's best to tell him. I would find someone to talk to. Sometimes there's even community therapist laws that are free. I'm sure you have a ton of feelings and thoughts, and that's totally valid. You were trucked and lied to. You stepped up though and did what the other two ran away from. You are truly a good father, and that's stronger than biology. Nah, you a real man. A real man does what you did, the right thing. You are a good man and a good dad. I'd take them to court for back support, both of them. You are an angel. Don't feel emasculated. A terrible person lied to you about something massive. That's not your fault. You've done right by your son, and I'm glad you still see him as your own. You can find grounds to sue. Sue her. I am not much onto law. I didn't go to school for it. But I'm pretty sure that's a solid lawsuit. Don't feel emasculated. You're more of a man than half the assholes on here. Seriously, there are significant many posts of fathers abandoning their kids because they found out the kid wasn't biologically theirs, even though they raised the kid and was their father. It takes a lot to be a decent dad, and you seem to love your son regardless. That's so much more important, coming from a person whose biological father was a piece of garbage. I wish I had a real dad that cared. Christ, dude. Is there a right time to break that news to anyone? The real evil one here is the mom. Maybe she should be the one to tell the truth. That's if she's brave enough to even do it. IDK, how you can even handle this, my friend. I pray you can get through this without it destroying you emotionally, because that's what it would do to me. Godspeed, brother. I wish you all the best.